Okay, hi, I'm Kelsey Patterson, and I'm doing the discussions on the Era 2 questions. And so this is kind of weird for me. First off, the first question is, Comenius advised that children should stay with their mothers and not be given to teachers before age 6. Why? So I read the chapters, and I go over them because I have a difficulty of remembering what I read, and so I reread the whole chapter and went over it. And so this is what I found out. The reason Comenius advised that children should stay with their mothers and not be given to a teacher before the age of 6 is because of a lot of different reasons and aspects. One of the first reasons was because of the emotional bond that children have with their mother. And I completely agree with this, is because if you were to send a child, let's say, I know pre-K is like the age of 4. If you were to send a child like at the age of 2 to go to school, you have to think that baby, that child, is still learning the motor skills, still adapting. It's still learning a lot of things, and it's not, if you send a child to school like that, it's not retaining any of the information because all they want is mommy and daddy. So if you send them to school at an early age, they won't be able to adapt and to learn things on their own because they're still trying to adapt to what their mom and dad are teaching them. Another reason is because they have to have that strong structure and support that their mom and dad can give them. And I know schools can too, but you got to think about it like this. That child relies on its mom from the day it's born. And so for it to go into a classroom, it has to have that right structure for it to be able to retain and grow in the classroom. So before they enter a classroom, they have to retain the stuff that their mom teaches them and to have that strong structure, that strong bond for them to be able to go on in the world. It also gives them the confidence. Another reason is that learning environment. A mom and that child has a totally different relationship than what a teacher and a child would have. You gotta think, like I said, this child is born with its mother. The first few years, that's all that child knows. It's its mother. And for them to have that right learning environment, they have to have that strong relationship with their mother before they have a strong relationship with the teacher. And they just have to have that learn structure and a good schedule at home before they can go into a whole different type of scenario and environment, to a whole different classroom. It makes, when they have that structure, the support, that bond, it makes the transition a lot easier. So speaking of transitions, I know I'm kind of corny. Speaking of transitions, for a kid to be cared by their mother, like I said, their whole life, and then to be cared by a teacher 5 days a week is a huge different ballgame. It's a huge different change. And Comenius wanted the transition to be a little bit easier for kids and parents. It could also make the children feel stressed about going to school and not being able to enjoy the fun that is in school. Because all they're going to be stressed about is, where's my mom? Where's my dad? And you want them to have fun. You want them to learn. You want them to be happy and comfortable. So to do that, they have to have that bond with their mom before changing that transition to a whole different person they're relying on in school. Also, he said the development of a child's brain. If the kids were to go to school too early, how would they be able to develop and retain that information that they're learning at school? At home, the kids are learning everyday structure to prepare them for school so that they could retain and learn in school. So that's my answer for question 1. Question 2, what do Locke's educational thoughts and writings look like? What is the most impressive aspect? So reading this, I kind of got a little confused, so I kind of put it into my own words, like you said. So Locke's educational thoughts were a lot. So one of the first things that he believed was to learn education, you have to have experience. So I guess what he was trying to say is, before you enter a classroom, you have to have experience with something else. Experience in learning from your mom. Experience from going to a playground. You had to have experience to learn through it first. This way, students can observe the things around them and learn from it. He also wanted the students to develop motor skills to have for critical thinking. The students need to be able to think and to make important decisions for themselves. They don't need to rely on mom and dad. They need to have that structure, and they need to be a little bit older to retain the information and to have to make those decisions themselves. Another idea for the students was to learn good character traits to have the right information of backgrounds and histories for them to develop the right way. He wanted the kids to be able to see the difference in each other. He wanted to make the kids realize that not all kids are the same and everybody's going to be different. Each student has a different way of learning, and some kids may get it right away. Some may not. Some may need longer time than a lot of kids. And he wanted the kids to be able to understand that. Like, it's not just going to be easy. Like, you have to be able to know that everybody is different. Last thing is importance of discipline, okay? He didn't want the kids to be scared of, like, any adult or anyone else. The reason he wanted discipline is for them to have that structure and to know for them to know what is right and what is wrong, so they can grow up and to be to have respect, to know they can have respect for themselves, but respect for the adults, the teachers, and the classmates around them. The most impressive aspect is how the kids have to have experience to achieve or to attain knowledge, and that the kids have to have the right motor skills. I also Googled this, and I don't know if that's allowed, but that's also called empirical learning and the development of reason. Locke thought this was crucial for students to grow and develop in the right way. That was question number 2. So you told me this one, it was like not kind of a question. It was like a question, but really just like to go check it out. So Rousseau saw the primary purpose of education as identifying and describing the special nature of childhood. Emphasis was placed on learning about children rather than controlling them through physical and physiological abuse. Please check out the paragraph explaining the 3 places where education came from. So the 3 places where it came from: nature, men, and things. He saw the primary purpose of education as identifying and describing the special nature of childhood. The emphasis was placed about learning children rather than controlling them through all this other stuff. So I think I have it on my computer somewhere. Okay, so sorry. This, I guess I may have typed it out wrong. but I just read it. It was... I'm sorry, I thought I had it on here, so please forgive me. Nature, men, and things. The inner growth of the organs. Okay, so was the faculties of education of nature. And then we learn to make this growth of education of men for what we gain by our experiences of our surroundings is the education of things. So those were the 3 things. Sorry, that was just terrible. Forgive me. And then the last one was select a pedology from Plastasio. Emphasize and describe how it influenced current education, policies, or philosophy. So one of the main things, and it wasn't really clearly out there about the name, but it was called object teaching. So this way, it allows students to have hands-on and to interact while you're doing a lesson. It's not to distract them, it's to have them have a better understanding of what you're trying to teach them, especially going into elementary education. And I'm an aide at a school, so I work with little kids every day. I've started to notice, this is my 3rd year, so I've started to notice that hands-on is such an important tool for when you're going into elementary education. Them kids are not just going to look at you while you're trying to work out a problem and be like, I don't understand this. And some of them told me, Miss Patterson, I don't understand this. So for them to fully understand and to have fun learning and to grasp on what you're teaching them, hands-on learning, which is object teaching, involves them to have fun, but to also learn at the same time. Like, here's an example. So I help teach math. And so we were learning about place value. So we have the little blocks. You got the hundreds block, you got the tens block, and you got the ones, little cubes. And so we would do different numbers. And that way, they could move the objects themselves and place the number. Like 146, they'd take 100 block, 4 10 blocks, and 6 little ones. And that way, they could place it themselves and know what they were doing. And so they could get a grasp in their head that they understand what they were doing. Excuse me. So that was one of them, was object teaching. And so that's just how I would explain it, is just, that's how it helps with education policies and stuff. So this is me, Kelsey Patterson. Yeah, this was fun and I enjoyed it. Bye.